We've got a fun one today. If you're an NFL fan, today's show is for you. If you're an NFL draft fan, today's show's for you. If you're a fantasy football fan or a general manager, today's show's for you. Now that we know where all these prospects have landed, today we identify the top rookie impact offensive skill players for the 2025 NFL season. And we can take the time to do so because we're 350 days away from next year's NFL draft. Muench, you good?
I'm good, man.
All right, let's roll it. Thanks for being here early in May. We appreciate everyone there. YouTube, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. The McShay Report, it's out. You can Google it. A lot of stuff coming up this month. Get involved. Thanks for being here. And I'm excited for today, Muench. You?
Yeah, this is great. We're fantasy guys now. This is a fantasy thing, man.
God,
it's a fantasy exercise.
Would you calm down? Let me fix this mic. Honest to goodness, the pushback.
We could. I don't listen. I love it. I think it's great. There's no pushback.
I think we should
do more of this.
It was not
fun.
Conceptually, that's not how we arrived at this plan, right?
Right.
But as I was starting to map it out, I've got Dan helping me, and I sent him a bunch of ideas. He's like, "Well, why don't we do a draft?" I'm like, "I love a draft. Muench loves a draft. Let's draft it up." And then as I'm reading through the concept and I'm starting to put pen to paper, and I'm like, "Oh wait, this isn't just for like fans of NFL teams. This isn't just for like NFL draft junkies like ourselves. This is also for if you're a GM, like that. I don't even like the dynasty leagues and all that stuff.
Yeah,
this is kind of for you too." So here's the concept. You ready? Rookie impact, offensive skill position players. Why are we doing it now?
In the AFC, by the way, we're doing the AFC today. Just want to make that clear.
Thank you, Muench. That is why. Best wingman in the business. We're doing it now because now we know where they're playing. Now now free agencies happen, and so it's been sorted out. We kind of understand the rosters clearer than we have in the last several months. We also have the draft picks where they're going to be playing, and we'll know a little bit more when they get to camp, and we'll know, and we can still build on this. But as of right now, I've got friends who text me like, I'm getting ready for my, what is it, like the dynasty draft or like the year over year. So yeah, I think it could be a helpful tool. I mean, we're sickos too, so I understand the concept.
Yeah.
One of us, same cloth, just different pattern. So that's it. So here's how it's going to work. It's a snake draft, as Muench mentioned. AFC only. We'll come back on Monday and we'll do the NFC. So you'll basically get between the two shows today and Monday, next Monday, you'll get both the AFC and the NFC. And essentially, we're going to break it up into a draft. Muench, you go first.
Right.
Okay. We're going to do a snake draft. Going to be on the fly. Deal with us as we make mistakes and go through it. But it's always fun that way. Here's how we decided to do it. No quarterbacks. It's just like we know Cam Ward's going to start. Like there may not be another quarterback starter from this year's class as a rookie. This is all about the 2025 season. Who can you expect to be the highest impact offensive skill position players? Running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. And in fantasy football type fashion, we are to draft a running back, 2 wide receivers, and 1 tight end with a flex position. Digging into my fantasy knowledge. So it's a snake draft setup, okay? So Muench and I each get, and it starts with Muench, then it'll go to me. I get pick 2 and pick 3. Then Muench gets 4 and 5. And then I get 6 and 7. So, all right, you understand the concept. So you get 1 pick each from round 1. Going to leave some good talent on the table. 1 pick each from round 2. Then we each get 2 picks from rounds 3 through 5. And then we each get 1 pick from 6 and 7. and just throwing a little bit more knowledge, digging deep into our scouting reports, deep into our pages. We're going to do bonus picks, 2 each, undrafted free agents. Here are some guys like this gets away from the. I know. I can't help myself.
I think it's great, though. I think it is great. It's fun.
Well, it's better than Dan Comer's not here today. He's in Ojai, man. He's chilling up in Ojai, doing his thing on the coast. It's beautiful up there in Cali. Got a day in Ojai. He wanted to do a whole show on undrafted free agents. I'm like, listen, I'm a lunatic, man, but that might be pushing it a little bit. So we're going to do 2 undrafted free agents each, part of the rotation, okay? And we'll put them on the bench. So a running back, 2 receivers, a tight end, and then 2 bench play. 1 flex. It could be a wide receiver, running back, or tight end. And then 2 bench players, okay? Everyone get the concept? Let's roll. I've got a whole sheet here, okay? I've got my sheet of all the AFC offensive skill players that were drafted through the 7 rounds. Bench with the first overall pick in the AFC offensive skill position player draft, you are on the
Here we go. I love it. We're already back into that sound. Here we go.
Yeah.
This is a no-brainer.
Fond memories,
right?
Tucker. Fond memories.
Yes. This is an absolute no-brainer, right? I mean, we're turning the car right away. You know, this is the worst kept secret. We're taking Ashton Jeanty.
It is.
We'll get into this in a second. I know
Okay.
you're going to make an argument for your guy because that's what you do. You just have to. You're wrong. I'll tell you why in a minute. Ashton Jeanty, the running back for Boise State. You don't draft a guy that early, McShay, and not make him the focal point of your offense. Yeah. Brock Bowers, maybe the best tight end in the league, has a chance to be, outstanding. Yeah. Awesome. They drafted some receivers. They got Jack Besh out of TCU. Good. That's great. There's no way they're not handing that ball off to Ashton Jeanty early and often. He's by far their best back. You know the volume is going to be there in terms of carries. You also know the volume is going to be there, I think, in terms of the passing game. I think they're going to get involved in the passing game. Chip Kelly, the offense coordinator, was at Ohio State last year, had a couple talented backs, knew how to use them. He's going to know exactly how to use Ashton Jeanty, too. To me, I think he's the odds-on favorite. We should get these odds, but I think he's probably the odds-on favorite to be the offensive rookie of the year. I just think this is.
We'll ask FanDuel for the NFC show on Monday. We'll get those.
Right.
We'll get those odds. Okay.
Yeah, it's so obvious to me. I'm having a hard time coming up with things to say about it. It's just that clear to me.
I don't disagree that it's a great choice. Okay. The only thing I wondered with this first pick, and you turned the card in fast. I didn't have time to
ready to go.
Yeah, you boxed me out. I was trying to get a little jab in before you started. The only part of it is it's tricky because the wide receivers run out fast because it's not a good group.
We already got the odds. Look at this. Look at Tucker,
man. Yeah, Ashton Jeanty plus 270. Cam Ward plus 380.
Uh-oh.
My pick is third on the list. But I did want to say because it was a really good tight end group, but when you start getting out of the rounds, now all of a sudden we're in the 3rd round. If you don't have a tight end, it gets interesting, right? Because we did have Tyler Warren and Colston Loveland's in the Bears in the other conference. And we did have Mason Taylor. He's going to be available in round 2. But Terrence Ferguson from Oregon is in the other conference, as is Elijhah Arroyo. Okay. So there's a limited pool in the AFC of tight ends, and that's why I thought you would consider Tyler Warren there. As I say that, I did too, but I'm not taking Tyler Warren. I'm taking the best offensive skill position player in this draft, and he just so happens to be 2 sides of the ball. But they made it perfectly clear in Jacksonville. Travis Hunter is wide receiver first, and we'll figure out how we're going to utilize him on that side of the ball. Ashton Jeanty's rush yards over under 1,050. Wow, they are putting some stock in your boy.
I'm taking over.
I love how Tucker's now he's serving as first of all, he's your hype man.
Always.
Yeah, Tucker's locked in. And second of all, Second of all, he's distracting me, but I love it. It's a good distraction.
It's May, and he's playing like it's April, man. He's locked in.
I'm taking Travis Hunter, second pick in this draft, second overall pick in the 2025 NFL draft, in a trade that shocked a lot of us. Even though we were getting information that Jacksonville was trying to do it, I didn't think Cleveland was going to do it. Important for this. I want you as an audience, when you think of Travis Hunter just as a receiver, I think you can expect to see out of him what we saw out of Garrett Wilson as a rookie with the Jets. Think about the impact that Garrett had, okay?
That's a good comparison.
It's all about ball skills and yak with this guy, okay? Like, he is so creative and slippery getting off the line of scrimmage. He's smooth in his movements and all those things. But where he's rare and different is with his catch radius and his ability to adjust to the football. And when you've got Trevor Lawrence as a quarterback, it's not always going to be pinpoint accuracy. So I think that will aid in this mission for Jacksonville to get Trevor Lawrence back on track. I think also what helps a quarterback a lot, a guy who you can get screens, 3-yard outs, 5-yard outs, quick slants, all that. So the quick game. I think his ability after the catch. This is a guy who had 3 drops on 128 targets last year. I'm telling you, it's rare ball skills. And I would go back and debate a couple of those 3 drops, by the way. And he's absolutely special with the ball in his hand. So we brought in Liam Cohen, head coach, right? I want you to remember, OC of the Buccaneers last year, one of the highest 11 personnel teams in the National Football. 78% they were. Almost 80% of the time, they were in three receiver sets. They're going to move him around. They're going to put him in the slot. They're going to move him out wide. I love his fit there. And it's honestly, the entire offseason was about getting Trevor Lawrence fixed. And right is certainly a qualified man to do that. And they didn't give away a first next year, and all they gave away to bring him in and make him your average, like number 2, number 3 receiver. This guy is going to be, he's going to be a major factor for Jacksonville in year 1.
I hear you. Is he wide receiver 1 on this team? I mean, at best, he's 1A, right? I mean, Brian Thomas is coming off an outrageous season.
No, he's probably 2.
So I just want to see that. I want to see 2 things. This is why I hesitate. We all love the player, right? Let's not kid ourselves. Everyone loves the player. And I hear exactly what you're saying. I think you make some great points. Don't get me wrong. I want to see the target share. I want to see how they utilize him, how they manage him. He could be a guy that, doesn't get a ton of touches and puts up a ton of production. I mean, that's the kind of ability he has. And I want to see, is Lawrence fixed? They're doing everything they can for him. And I thought Trevor Lawrence was a lock, as close to a lock as you can get coming out of college. Is he fixed? I want to know if he's fixed before, I'm catching myself here too. There's only 2 other players you could have picked, right? Tyler Warren at tight end, because there's only 4 skill players taken for the AFC.
Yeah, Hunter, Jeanty, Warren, and Omarion Hampton.
So it's a no-brainer that you take Hunter here, but I would say that Jeanty is clearly head and shoulders the first pick, and then it's Hunter above the other 2. Because here's the thing with Tyler Warren: who's throwing on the ball? Is it?
That's why I didn't take him.
Right?
That's why
is it AR? So I want to see that too. And then Omarion Hampton, I think I would probably take 3rd overall.
I would,
but
too.
They got Najee Harris. They might use him a little bit differently. Justin Herbert's going to throw the ball. I think Justin Herbert's still the focal point of that offense, where I think Jeanty will be the focal point of the Raiders offense. So, I mean, it's easy to, in those first 4 picks in the first round, I think it's easy to slot them. But I think if you're making an argument, you would take Travis Hunter over Ashton Jeanty. Come on.
It is clip this off, Tucker, because he's getting a little. He's getting a little. Yeah, Emeka Ibuka wasn't going in the first round.
I think you're getting too much sun, man. I think you're getting too much sun.
I know. I've been in the sun a lot. It's been nice. It's been nice. I walked like 6 miles today, feeling it. All right. It's a snake draft. So I get the next pick.
You get the next one. Yep.
This one's interesting for me, man. I'm passing on 6 other offensive skill position players that were drafted in the second round ahead of RJ Harvey to take RJ Harvey. 6 of them. There's other running backs, there's other wide receivers, there's other tight ends. So this is where if you're a fantasy football player, you might want to listen up.
Yeah. Tune
in. Because the like a lot of people with some of the medical stuff long term thought maybe RJ Harvey's 3rd, maybe 4th round. The tape said absolutely 2nd round. Love this guy. You know what I love about RJ Harvey? By the way, he's the Broncos draft pick at number 660 overall. I love this. Let's talk about the player first, then we'll get to Denver. I love the fact this guy paid his dues. He started off as a quarterback back at Virginia in 2019. He transferred over to UCF as a running back. He was in a kind of a rotation a little bit early on, didn't do much. Second year, he was set to be a starter and wound up getting injured before the season. Then like this 3rd season there, he winds up like 3rd in carries as he's kind of getting back to full speed. But the last 2 seasons, you go look at what he did, and it's 2,993 yards on 458 carries, 38 touchdowns, caught 39 passes. This is the important one, 13 yards per catch, Muench. This guy, like, usually running backs, it's like 7.8, 9.2, 13 yards per catch. I think now I get it. Like, shorter frame, but he's tightly packed, excellent top end speed. Also showed like the lower body explosiveness, the 38 vertical, the 10-7 broad. Like, RJ Harvey is a dude. And Sean Payton recognized he's a dude. And that's why Sean Payton stepped in after they couldn't move up and go get Ashton Jeanty and said, don't worry about it. I just spent 2 hours in the film room. He's my guy. Let's take him in the 2nd round. Everyone is talking about him maybe in the 3rd. Let's take him at the end of the 2nd. Let's get ahead of the curve. And you think about, like, Sean Payton does not like to spend early round picks on offensive weapons. He thinks he can kind of create them. Well, now he spends an early round pick on an offensive weapon, and he can create what that role is. I love, and Audric Estime is the backup, but he could take some of the pounding carries off of him, and that will keep him healthy and fresh. I think this is a perfect spot for RJ Harvey. In fact, I gave him the Aaron Jones comp. I think he can be for that offense what Aaron Jones has been in the NFL.
Talk to me about why you passed on Quinshon Judkins, the both Ohio State backs. Quinshon Judkins at the Browns.
Yep.
And Travion Henderson, who I know you love with New England. That one seems a little more obvious. That's maybe a workload thing that Henderson, we're talking about impact, and I think Henderson can have a great impact for New England, but he may not play a big enough role early on. As
I think Henderson's going to be a lot more passing game, and like you're talking about in a rotation.
Harvey gets more overall touches, though, right?
I think more overall touches.
I think so too. Yeah,
I think we'll see, but
right.
Look at Bo Nix. When Sean Payton goes in and comes out of the tape room or out of a pro day and says, "This is my guy," it's not like the general manager who's now trying to sell the head coach, who then has to sell the OC. Like, it is the play caller for the organization making that pick, saying that set of specific skills that he carries fits exactly what I want. Let's go. That's right. Yeah,
that's great. It's a good example because I know you had both Ohio State guys ranked higher. And this is just an example of what this exercise is supposed to do. It's all about the fit, the landing spot, the how many touches, volume, all of that stuff comes into play now.
100%.
Great.
Yeah. All right. So you're up.
This was the easiest pick. This was almost as easy as Jeanty in the first. I took the LSU tight end, Mason Taylor, going to the Jets because I just think when you start looking at these tight ends and the roles they're going to play, and then again, how many touches are they going to get? Mason Taylor is tight end 1 for the Jets. I'm not sure there's another guy going down that list who is a lock to be tight end 1. So I saw that, and you're mapping out where you're going to go in the future. And to me, it's Mason Taylor in the 2nd round. He's ready to go, man. We've talked about this ad nauseum, but we'll do it again because I think it's very true. The way LSU used him is borderline frustrating.
Yes.
Just going to run him in the flat, going to dump the ball off to him, put him in motion, dump the ball off to him in the flat. They didn't do enough with him, in my opinion. They mixed in a little bit of some seam routes and all that stuff. I think when you get him to the pros, he's going to be a far more productive pro, because you look at that skill set, you look at that frame, and I think he's going to take off if they can get him the ball. Like, Justin Fields is a little bit concerned how consistent he will be. I get that. But in terms of volume, I think he's by far the best tight end left on this list in terms of how many touches he's going to get and the role he's going to play. So for me, this was easy. This is, when you're looking at a fantasy draft, this is why people take, or have traditionally taken, a Travis Kelce early, or why they'll take Brock Bowers early, because tight ends are tough to find that play a big role in their offense. So
I agree.
To me, I was a lock for Mason Taylor.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, quite honestly, 42 sounded about right, but it wouldn't have surprised me if he came off the board earlier. Absolutely need it. And with that quarterback situation, you need security over the middle of the field, and Mason Taylor's perfect for Justin Fields.
Love it. So the next
You're
pick
up again. Yep.
And this is now we've both exhausted our first and second round picks, right?
Yep.
Now we're in the 3 to 5.
Yep.
I've got my running back, my tight end. I better get some receivers, man. And I am going with Kyle Williams, the 3rd round pick for the New England Patriots, for a couple of reasons. They have bodies there. They signed Mac Hollins. They got Stephon Diggs, who's coming off the knee injury. They got Pop Douglas, Kendrick Bourne. There's a lot of bodies there. I think Kyle Williams has a chance to be a top 3 receiver on opening day. I just think he's that talented. He's a 4.4 guy. He's only 5'11", 190, but I like the way he gets off the line. I like he stacks his vertical routes. I think he's got a lot of upside as a short to intermediate route runner. And then you got Josh McDaniels, who I think is an excellent coordinator in terms of putting receivers in great matchups and great situations and understanding how to attack defenses. And then you add on top of that, of course, like, this is the most important part of the deal. You have Drake May at quarterback. And I think Drake May, we'll see. Could be a sophomore slump. That happens. It happens with guys. I think he's ready to elevate his game to the next level. He's got all the talent in the world, and you're giving him a talent like Kyle Williams, and I'm getting him with my 3rd overall pick. I think Williams is good there.
Yeah, and the league spoke, and the league's agreeing with you. I mean, he was the first wide receiver taken rounds 3 through 5. He was the 2nd offensive skill position player taken in rounds 3 through 5. So, yeah.
And it's a good landing spot. Even if you don't like the rankings, you start looking at some of the other names that were in the AFC there. I mean, you start going the
pool gets shrunk, right? Because it's the AFC. So we'll get to the NFC on Monday. It's the AFC in a wide receiver group that just wasn't great to begin with. And then you got a fact like Jalin Noel, I absolutely adore. I should be screaming about this, but he was the 2nd receiver taken by Houston. Houston's still got a couple cats with Nico Collins and Christian Kirk. So he, at best, if things go really well, he comes in as like the number 4. So, yeah.
The 2 receivers that Tennessee likes that they drafted, we like both of them more, but then you look at, they brought in a couple guys, and now you have 2 there that they drafted in the same round. It gets muddy.
And it's a rookie quarterback, so you're making
a rookie
huge
quarterback,
gamble.
and who's targeting him? Like, it just, again, Kyle Williams, I think, is in a really good spot, and he's a talented player.
Yeah. So I mentioned that Kyle Williams was the 2nd offensive skill player from the AFC drafted in rounds 3 through 5. The first was my pick, Harold Fannin, tight end, Bowling Green State University. Let me tell you a little bit about Fannin.
Is it state? Is it Bowling Green State?
BGSU.
Oh, I always call them Bowling Green, man. That's interesting. Go ahead. You're right. I'm sure you're right.
I'm lending a little love.
Yeah. We're all learning today.
Thing I love first, like with Fannin, it's ball skills, right? It's coming in, and I trust him catching the football. 2.3 drop rate, 94th percentile last year. Okay. And actually the last 2 years. It's just who he is. He's going to catch the football. He's not the biggest. He's not like huge catch radius in terms of like a 6'6" guy, but he catches everything in his neighborhood. And the second thing is, it's almost like watching, I don't know, it's not a running back, but it's like a little bit like a bigger back who's like in space. It's just smooth and comfortable and a feel. He just has a natural feel that you don't normally see with tight ends, right? With the ball in his hands after the catch. So And it got proven too when you start looking at going to PFF and some of the numbers. Like, he led all players that were invited to the combine in missed tackles forced on receptions with 34. That's more than Luther Burden. Like, second on the list was Luther Burden. So that tells you like what he can do after the catch, right? So here's
watch the Penn State tape, man.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, he put up numbers against good competition.
Was it Texas A&M too, right?
It wasn't A&M. There was another big school. I think it was A&M.
I think it was A&M. I remember looking right on the screen.
I'll double check while you're talking.
Okay, so we know he's going to catch the football, and we know he can create after the catch. Okay, and then I think about Cleveland, and this is why I hesitated for a minute. I'm like, oh, they've got David Njoku, but this is a team that had Jordan Akins a year ago as the number 2 tight end. He was 4th on the team with 40 catches. So now Fannin steps into that role. And Stefanski, they were in like 72% of the time or something like that in three receiver sets. But maybe it was just because they didn't have the personnel. And I think Stefanski will try to be a little bit more loose with the 12 personnel, giving Njoku some breathers. I don't know. I think Fannin's got a chance to be. I'm not saying he's not going to have a monster rookie year, but getting him as the third pick here and as a third through round 3 through round 5 guy, I feel really good about. Then I got my flat. Go ahead.
Hold on. Fannin had 11 for 137 and a touchdown against Penn State, and then 2 weeks later, caught 8 for 145 and a touchdown against Texas A&M. The other thing, I will just say this quickly about that landing spot too. I love the Stefanski thing. One of the surprises for me with the Browns was they weren't aggressive about addressing the wide receiver position in the draft. I mean, they need pass catchers.
He becomes a slot.
Exactly. They don't have a ton. They have Jerry Jeudy on the outside and then a couple, like some bodies. So I think when you're looking at that, it makes sense that they go more 12, that they get Fannin involved a lot.
He's a big slot.
I agree. And you can run split zone with him where he comes across the formation and blocks a linebacker. Or, you can use him as a move blocker. But I think you're right. He's essentially a big slot receiver.
So that puts me in a predicament now, right?
Painted yourself into a corner.
A little, but I honestly, I think the wide receiver class painted us both into a corner.
Oh man, killed us,
right? And so I'm looking at this rounds 3 through 5, and there's some other wide receivers. Yeah, like you took Kyle Williams. There's Pat Bryant. I mentioned Jalin Noel, Chimere Dike, who I love out of Florida, but a kind of a developmental guy. I said from the start, he ran 90% of his routes in my recollection are deep crossers, right? So he's got some growing to do, and he's got a rookie quarterback. Arian Smith can't catch the football.
Yeah, until I was surprised he went. Yeah,
that early, but he's a burner, and so again, developmental stuff there. You get down to like Jalen Royals coming off the injury. KC, I considered that. Alec Ayomanor, I considered that. But again, the second second wide receiver for Tennessee. So I went running back here.
With none of those guys.
I went with none of them. None of them.
I love it.
I filled my flex spot. It's a fantasy.
Don't reach for need, baby. Don't reach for need.
Why am I going to take a receiver that like might be a 3 or 4?
There you go.
With a rookie quarterback or can't catch the ball or only runs deep crossers when I can take Kaleb Johnson.
Right.
The Iowa running back.
It's like those crazy guys who have to fill out their fantasy roster when they're going through the draft and end up taking a kicker in round like 8 or 9. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Like those are the guys that everyone else starts whispering about in the draft. Like, dude, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah. Yeah.
So Kaleb Johnson was interesting study, right? He was a 3-year player, but just a 1-year starter, right? But he finished with almost 2,800 rushing yards, 508 carries, 6 most in program history, only 29 catches though in 3 seasons. I will throw that in. And he also, like the combine was concerning, and it wasn't the 4.57. It was the 1.62 10-yard split. Quinshon Judkins, similar build, I wouldn't say style. Judkins is downhill. This guy's a zone block scheme, okay? Kind of patient, go. But he was a 1.62. which was tied for worst among all the running backs. Again, it's just a number, but it showed up on tape sometimes. So it'll be interesting to see how it translates. But his run skills are ideally suited outside zone. He's okay in inside zone, but outside zone. But he can be effective in all of them. But I just, as a zone blocking scheme fit, I loved his vision, his feel. Just I thought his vision and feel were like the ingredients in his secret sauce.
Right.
Kaleb Johnson.
No wasted motion.
No wasted motion. So much of his game is on feel and vision, and he's got good contact balance, sets up his blocks. Everything's smooth. And I just envision him in that Pittsburgh offense. And I think about what Najee Harris was at his best for that Pittsburgh offense. Remember the comp I gave to him when we went through all the running backs? We did the running back deep dive. It was Najee. And now Najee's in LA in the Chargers. And this, like, they know what they're doing, Pittsburgh. They didn't identify this guy and say, let's use our only day 2 pick, remember? Because the second round pick was on DK Metcalf. Our only day 2 pick, we're going to get this guy. And because he's a perfect fit. I see him in a rotation with Jalen Warren and with Kenneth Gainwell, who they brought in, but I think he's the guy. Rookie contract, running back. Let's squeeze every ounce of juice out of him, and Pittsburgh's going to run the football, especially considering we don't even know who their freaking quarterback is right now.
No, we don't. And Kenneth Gainwell is a nice piece. He's a nice complimentary back, but they didn't bring him in to be the number 1 guy. And if they were comfortable with Jalen Warren being the guy, you don't take Kaleb Johnson that early. So
with their only day 2 pick. Yeah. Right. So I like that one.
Yeah, I agree with you.
All right. So now you're up, right?
I believe that is correct.
Yeah, I just took Fannin and Kaleb Johnson.
And I am going with, this is my second 3 to 5 round pick, right? And I'm going with my guy. I got to go with my guy. You mentioned him, Pat Bryant from Illinois.
Ooh.
He's just got to be. Look, I need a receiver. I think he went earlier than both of us expected when you looked at how he ran at the combine in the 4.6s. But you look at the production, average over 18 yards a catch in the Big Ten. Productive dude. Tape is way better. He plays way faster on tape. And then I think about him and Sean Payton's offense, and he's a little smaller, but I can't help but think Mike Thomas. I can't help but think he's going to be that physical slant receiver that they let run after the catch a little bit. I think Sean Payton has a plan for this young man when he drafts him that early. And you think about Bo Nix maybe taking the next step. I get excited about the idea of what Pat Bryant could do in that offense.
Yeah, and it's the same logic that I applied to RJ Harvey.
Bro, some guys you just trust they know what they're doing when they take players, right? Like,
because
Sean Payton knows how. Yeah, go ahead.
He's going to make it fit. Yeah, he's like.
They have a plan. They don't draft a guy based on good tape, good talent. They draft a guy based on how does he fit with us. It's like, what it reminds me of is the watching Les Snead and Sean McVay talk about Puka Nacua.
Yeah,
when they did the behind the scenes, right? Like,
that was awesome.
Man, we'd love to get this guy, right? He's. I like guys who are where they're supposed to be when they're supposed to be there, and all of those things. How much they trusted Puka Nacua. Yep. My guess is that McVay and his staff looked at Pat Bryant and were like, man, like, I know he didn't run that well, but look at this tape.
Michael Thomas didn't run well.
Right. Like, you tell me he didn't work out well. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the kind of player he could be in their scheme.
Yeah. And they identify and target, Sean does. Identifies and target, like, I'll take him around before maybe the league is going to take him.
Right.
But I want to make sure I get him.
Right. I'm not taking the chance he's not there next time around.
His list is shorter than a lot of teams' lists in terms of like the draft board. His fits in his back pocket with like, I'm going to get my guy. I don't care where the league takes him. And I sometimes you look at it and say, well, that doesn't match the value. You could have gotten him in the 4th, but like, yeah, you could have not gotten him in the 4th too. And if you specifically see like that, so it's the same thing with RJ Harvey. It's the same thing with Pat Bryant. And if you're a fantasy football fan out there, like I would put stock in the fact that Sean Payton made those 2 picks to fit his offense. And guess who gets to call the plays? And by the way, the league had Bo Nix late 1st, 2nd last year.
Right. Yeah.
Sean didn't.
Right. Just showing you.
I did. I had him late. I
Absolutely.
had him early 2nd.
Absolutely.
Sean didn't, and
Right.
we saw. All right, so you have one more
Now
pick?
I got to go. I got to go to my 7th, right?
6th, 7th round.
6th, 7th. And I
Yep.
took the Brashard Smith, your guy, out of SMU. Yeah, went to the Chiefs. I think he went in the 6th round, correct?
I like that. I like that pick. No,
Well,
7th.
look,
He was early 7th.
Yeah, 7th.
Pick 228 overall.
So he went in the 7th to the Chiefs. And first of all, a little background on the player, former wide receiver, turns running back. But when you look at that background, you know he's good out of the backfield. You know that he can make plays for you in the passing game. And when I look at that and you're taking players later on and you're looking for a player who can play a role that could be productive, I mean, they have very different profiles coming out of college, but in terms of the role that they could both play for the Chiefs, it's Jerick McKinnon all over for me. I mean, Jerick McKinnon, similar size, similar speed. McKinnon ran a 4.41. Smith ran a 4.39. They got a 4.39 running back, by the way. The Chiefs got a 4.39 running back with a receiving profile, and they got him in the 7th round. I mean, I think that's silly, to be honest with you. But you look at McKinnon, and he had 56 catches one year for the Chiefs. I think it was 2022. And Pacheco was in that backfield. All those other guys were in this backfield, and they still find a way to use McKinnon a ton. And I think that's the same thing that Brashard Smith could do for them. So when you're looking that late in the draft, and I'm trying to get a flex, I love that. I think this player has a real opportunity to play a significant role in the passing game for them.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And McKinnon, the super interesting thing about that is because I do think they could be different players. McKinnon, if people remember, was a option quarterback to start his college career.
Was it
then
Georgia
tailback?
Georgia Southern?
Georgia Southern, yes.
Yeah.
Then he moves to tailback. I think he had 10 career catches. I think he had 10 career catches in college. And we're all sitting there saying, it just goes to show you, just because a player isn't used in a certain way doesn't mean they can't do something.
Correct.
And you got to be careful about that stuff. You do have to take into account that they haven't done it in your report, but it doesn't mean they can't. And for a guy who is a former triple option guy to turn into a great receiving back in the NFL, he had a couple good years with the Vikings too. I think it's super interesting.
Tommy Millott was picked 15 picks earlier, right? The Raiders picked him quarterback.
The end of that. Right? Yep.
You're welcome. I say it was one less player you had to write up, but you did the tape. You saw it.
Oh, I watched him.
Good athlete. Yeah, I know you did. You'll listen. You'll go watch, and you'll tell me I'm an idiot when you think I'm crazy. But that one you agreed on. All right. So my pick. This is the final pick I have, and until we get to the undrafted guys.
Right.
And I have to fill a receiver spot. I went. Wide receiver with the first pick, and then I went with Travis Hunter.
Yep.
And then I went
RJ Harvey and Harold. You did RJ Harvey at running back from UCF?
Yep, RJ Harvey. I should probably know my team better. This Harold Fannin, tight end. Then Kaleb Johnson is my flex because of value. And now I'm going LaJohntay Wester. 6th round pick, 203 overall, coming out of Colorado. He was drafted by the Ravens. Tiny guy, man. 5'10", 163 pounds. But he ran a 4.46, and he's quicker than he is fast. Listen to they had other guys, right? Jimmy Horn Jr. ran fast. They got bigger guys. They've got faster guys. All that. It was always Wester, though, if you noticed. Obviously Travis Hunter, but it was always Wester, like getting the tough yards, like in a pinch. If they were double teaming or rolling coverage to Travis Hunter, he showed up. And he's been doing it for a while, just nobody knew about it. He was at FAU, Florida Atlantic, for 4 seasons, okay? The final season at FAU, he was second in the FBS with 108 catches. Nobody knew about it. If a tree falls in the woods, like, nobody knows. But Colorado knew. Called him up, bring him in, come on, fly into Boulder. 13 games. He played all 13 games. 74 catches, 931 yards, almost 13 yards per catch, 10 touchdowns. Okay. He's a tough little nugget, man. Wester's a tough little nugget. I'm telling you, this guy's he's going to get in there with the Ravens receiver room, and he's going to look around. They're going to be taller than him, and they're going to be thicker and stronger than him. And Wester's going to look around and be like, hey, I can play on this team. I'm a 6th-round pick. I'm 163 pounds. I can fucking play on this team. I'm telling you, he can. He's going to get his shot. You got Zay Flowers, you got Rashad Bateman, and you got DeAndre Hopkins, who's on his last leg. Like very last, okay? Those are the 3 starters. Last year, Nelson Aguilar was the 3rd leading receiver, okay? By in terms of receptions by receivers for the Ravens. He's gone. The 4th leading receiver in terms of receptions of the wide receiver, that room he's walking into with a bunch of bigger, older, stronger guys, whatever. The 4th leading receptions guy of the wide receiver group was Tylan Wallace, who's back. But he had 10 catches last year. There's a spot for Wester. He's one of those guys that, yeah.
They show they had a plan for they can use smaller receivers when they took Zay Flowers. I mean, that was my concern with Zay Flowers. How he's like 5'9", 175 pounds. I mean, that's scary how small he is. And I mean, he was outstanding. I mean, he's been outstanding when he's been on the field. And Wester gives you that guy who can play a similar role. And you got, again, who's your quarterback? It's Lamar Jackson. If you're taking guys late, I want to, you do this again. These are the parallels with fantasy. When you take guys late, you want to take guys who are in good situations, and Lamar Jackson can get him the ball. So to me, that's a good spot for him.
All right, I get the first pick of the UDFAs, right?
Lucky you.
I love it. My first bench spot. Then you get 2 UDFAs, and then I get the final one. Okay,
we're out.
Of all the undrafted free agents in the AFC, and there were hundreds of them that wound up signing with NFL teams, I'm taking the one that just makes the most sense. Xavier Restrepo.
I love it.
Miami wide receiver, formerly the go-to guy for Cam Ward. Brought in, not drafted, because he ran a 4.85. Slow as molasses. He can't play in the NFL. He can't separate that speed. 4.85 is disgusting. He tried to say that it was a hamstring that was tight. We don't buy that. We're not drafting him, the league said. Cam was like, hey.
What if it was, though? Can we just say that? Like, what if it was because he has,
I promise you, I saw 4.65, which ain't fast and it's not good. I saw 4.65. Like, we've seen plenty of guys at 4.65 have really great careers.
Yes.
His toughness, his savvy, ability to uncover. I trust him. So as an undrafted free agent with a quarterback that's asking for him, with an organization that provided him.
Cam Ward wants him.
Cam Ward wants him because he trusts him.
Yeah.
They had 2 4th-round picks. We mentioned him. Chimere Dike, still developing, but talented. He was one of my guys. I love Chimere Dike, but still developing. And we're playing the long game with him in terms of route running and all that, but he's fast. 2nd or 3rd fastest of the receivers. Then Alec Ayomanor. Love his tenacity, his toughness, the energy he plays with, the urgency. He's tough. He's got enough speed to get down the field, but he doesn't catch the ball.
Yeah.
But he is not a reliable target. And so if I'm Cam Ward and the bullets are flying fast, and this league is fast and it's physical and it's and I'm just looking to get the ball out of my hands to someone I trust. Maybe Restrepo makes this team. Maybe he becomes part of that rotation. I don't know. We'll see. They got Tyler.
Crazy for thinking he makes that team. I think he makes that team. I actually
think he will make that team. Calvin Ridley, yes. Tyler Lockett, they brought in, yes. Van Jefferson, yes. Like, is Treylon Burks going to hang?
I don't know, man.
I don't know either. And then you get the 2 rookies as well. I think he's got a chance. We'll see. I think he's got a chance. All right, you 2 UDFAs, undrafted free agents for you.
My first one's going to be DK's Florida running mate, another guy that loves that deep crosser. Elijah Badger out
You
of Florida.
son of a bitch.
I
No
thought that
offense to Mrs. Muench.
this Restrepo was the bell
I've
of the
got
ball.
him right here. Elijah
But he's-
Badger.
Yeah, but this guy's close, man.
Okay.
He's close.
Regroup.
I mean, 6'1", 200, good arm
like
length, 32 and a half, ran a 4.43, averaged 20.7 yards per reception last year. Florida, he was at Arizona State before that, and he led the Sun Devils in catches for 2 years in a row. I mean,
Can you
he was a
imagine if
productive
Arizona
player.
State kept and developed all the players that we're now writing that went on?
I want a
get
documentary
drafted?
on it. I want a documentary on that team.
There's got to be like a 30 for 30, right?
There was some talent on that team, man. Yeah. So that'll be
Jaden
interesting to go back.
Was it not Savion Jones? The other was it
my
Swinson?
other UDF guy. Yeah, I think Swinson was there. Yep.
Swinson was at AS. There was a bunch of them this year.
My other UDF A was there too. But just to finish up with Badger.
Okay.
Obviously talented, man. 4'4", 200 pounds. Like, I was surprised he didn't get drafted. Maybe it's because he just like DK. I mean, they love those deep crossers of Florida. And you know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Those guys were running away from dudes. That's how you average 20.7 yards per catch. But then I'm like, where'd he end up? Well, Kansas City. And I like Jalen Royals, and he was definitely a consideration when I was looking at my board. When we look at him in the 4th round, I think that's a great value, considering he's coming off an injury. But then you got Xavier Worthy is going to be a really good player. I'm not sure he's, that elite player that you would have taken in the 1st round looking back on it, but they drafted late in the 1st round, whatever. You got Rasheed Rice, and then it's a Hollywood Brown, Jalen Royals, Sky Moore, Juju Smith-Schuster, a lot of bodies, but I'm not sure. There's no one there. I'm like, it's exactly what you're saying about Restrepo. He can, he's gonna, who the Ravens took, I can't remember, LaJohntay Wester. He's gonna look around that wide receiver room and say, man, I can play here.
I got a shot. Yeah,
I got a shot. I can play here.
The other thing with Badger, he was 6th in the FBS. If you go back to 2023, almost 29 yards per kick return. So some value.
He's gonna help you out there too if you want to use him that way. He's gonna compete in that area. And then again, who's your quarterback? Who's throwing you the ball? Oh, it's Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah,
great. And this is the case of all great quarterbacks. If you run your routes the correct way, you catch the ball and you make plays, you get more targets. So it's not one of these situations where he's going to end up somewhere and he's going to play well.
Practice squad to start, and then there's an injury, whatever it is. Yeah,
right. So you end up some other places and they're like, well, we want to give our 2nd rounder a little more run. Like Kansas City won't mess around with that, man. The Chiefs were like, hey, man, if this is the guy who's playing best, we're going to play him. That's going to be the situation. So I love where he landed. I mean, talented player. I love where he landed.
One other quick note. Kansas City, it's funny.
You wanted Badger so bad.
Oh, I wanted Badger so bad. I had all these notes. I was ready to go. Kansas City added, I literally was ready to go. I didn't think for a second you're going to take Elijah Badger of all the hundreds of guys. The Chiefs also added Jake Brenningstool, the tight end from Clemson. It's funny because I didn't see it, and I heard a lot of noise.
I don't see it either.
Could be top 100, could be 4th. I didn't see it, but it's like when the market over. I had like a 6th round grade on him.
Yeah,
so
probably should have got drafted.
Should have got drafted. So that one's interesting to me. He's another one. If you're a Chiefs fan, to keep an eye on. Like he could wind up never going to be special, but reliable enough. I think he could wind up making that team. But go ahead, Matt.
My last UDFA, yep. Jalin Conyers out of Texas Tech. He's another guy he was another former Sun Devil. And what I love about this guy is his versatility. I mean, Miami signed him. They already have Jonnu Smith. They signed Pharaoh Brown I think is a pretty good backup, but on the back end of his career. Jalin Conyers is a big body tight end who could be their number 3. I think he goes into camp as the number 3 or comes out of camp as the number 3. Has some upside, but what I really like about him, this is my last pick in this draft. He plays Wildcat quarterback. You could put him at Wildcat quarterback in short yardage goal line situations. So now we got a guy who might, I'm taking a flyer on someone I think could maybe win me a game, if I have to call him off the bench. And here's a guy who could get a couple touchdowns in those goal line packages. And that's what I love about him. He's great with the ball in his hands, whether it's after the catch, or as a ball carrier. He's really good with the ball in his hands for a guy who's 265 pounds, I think. 255, maybe 265 pounds. Anyways, he's much more athletic than you would expect looking at his frame. I think he runs better on tape than he ran it at the combine. He's an interesting player that if they can unlock his upside, he's going to be a good player going like down the stretch. And I think he could end up that number 2 tight end who makes some plays. And again, gives you that extra versatility as a guy they can use in certain packages.
What if I told you there was a program that had 75 players drafted in the 2025 draft that still made it to the college football playoff? But that's 70 of those 75 players were drafted from different schools.
That might be the craziest part of the story when you look at all the guys that fled, the exodus, and where that program was.
The story of Herm Edwards.
Yes.
And the great 2020 recruiting class, whatever it was.
Right.
Holy smokes.
And for them to turn it around and give Texas all Texas could handle.
All right, last pick, right? I got my last pick. I had to scramble here. I don't think many people know about this guy, but I like him. He was sneaking around my chicken coop. I wound up giving him a late round grade. Never heard his name called, but I just, like certain guys, like I'm gonna keep a marker on this guy. I liked him. I liked his tape. The Houston Texans brought in undrafted free agent named Daniel Jackson, wide receiver from Minnesota. He was at the combine, okay? Quicker than fast slot, okay? Like when you watch him, it's like, he's one of my Twitch guys. I love slot receivers. I love Twitchies, right? Maybe it's because I never had any Twitch as an athlete, so I just adore players who are like agile, crafty route runner. Okay, 5'10", 193. So not the tallest guy, obviously, but kind of packed tightly. Acrobatic catches, like adjusting to the football, plays tough, plays a physical brand of football. That gives him a chance. Houston Texans, right? Oh, by the way, I should mention this. You look for traits and you look for things that fit. And the things that fit are he can separate and he's tough and he can catch the football away from his frame. Then you look for traits. All right, what are the traits? Well, yeah, he didn't run a 40 at the combine because he's not the fastest guy in the world. But I talked about that twitch and the quickness and the body control. He ran a 4.07 short shuttle, Muench. You know what that was at the combine? No one talked about it. No one talked about it. Second fastest of all the wide receivers. Then he went and ran the 3-cone. 6.78. It was the fourth fastest of all the wide receivers. Those are important drills. I remember training Daryl Jackson 20-something years ago for the draft. And it was with Travis Taylor, who was a late first-round pick, New England Patriots. It was with
Peter Warwick.
Peter Warwick, number 4 overall pick, I think it was. 2 or 4, whatever it was, with the Cincinnati Bengals. D-Jack was the one who always separated, and his routes were the crispest. And I'm training all those guys, and I'm like, he's got something different. And then he had great 3 cones and all that stuff, but didn't run a great 40. Wound up falling to the 3rd round of the Seattle Seahawks. You know who had the best career of all those receivers?
Yeah, Jackson.
D-Jack. Yep. So that watch out for Daniel Jackson, a different D-Jack.
D-Jack, yeah.
I didn't even expect to tell that story. It all came together.
You're pretty proud of yourself.
I'm very proud. Sometimes the sun shines.
Like, look what I found.
In production. Traits in production. 208 catches for Minnesota. 3rd all time in school history. So I look at Tank Dell out. Obviously, they've got Nico Collins. They got Christian Kirk. They've got John Mechie. Okay? And they brought in the 2 rookies, I understand, who I love. Jaden Higgins and Jalin Knoll from Iowa State. But Jackson could prove himself to be too valuable in camp to cut. Or maybe, like we said, practice squad, whatever it turns out to be. This is fun, man.
I like the quarterback there, too. Like, maybe I'm being too optimistic with him, but I'll put the little bit of a regression last year on the injuries at receiver and the mess of an offensive line.
Please.
And we'll see if Time will tell if I'm right, but I'm still a Marcus
They were
Stroud
still
guy.
in the playoffs with an offensive line that they literally had to send like U-Haul trucks to get the bleep out. And with what Nico Collins missed like 5 games, and Tank Dell with the devastating ACL, PCL, MCL, and dislocated kneecap. And Stephon Diggs, who they brought in, only played 8 or 9 games, and they still were in the playoffs, man. Okay, no, I that's going to be fun to watch.
Now just remember, everyone, he's at McShay 13 when you want to let him know how much better my team is. You can just Twitter.
All right, throw up the graphic. There we go. His team versus mine. I'm sorry. I mean, FanDuel.
I don't even think this is close. Sorry.
I don't either. I don't either. Yes. The running backs are what killed me over the top, but we'll see. All right, this is fun. It
was great.
Love you all for joining. It's
Thank
May.
you.
We're having fun, but this is good stuff, and it's good stuff to prepare for the season. And then we're going to do it again on Monday. So come back on Monday. We'll do the whole NFC. I hope there are more receivers. I didn't study it by conference.
There's got to be, right?
I hope there's more receivers. There has to be more receivers. I know there's a couple good tight ends. We'll battle through it. I'm excited to do it. But
should be
you
good.
know where to find us. And the where is YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. The when is next Monday, and we look forward to being back with you then. Have a great weekend, everyone. Enjoy we call it our summer, but enjoy the rest of your spring. Later. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.